tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. This speech from Macbeth sums up my feelings during my lows. Mood swings that have been so high that I've been everybody's best friend, and so low that suicide seemed the only option. High enough to empty my bank account to give hundreds of pounds to a beggar, or to buy a round for everyone in the pub, whether I knew them or not, even though I knew I couldn't afford it. Low enough to steal money from a friend, promising I could make him millions and get myself sent to prison for it. The psychiatrist who I was sent to for pre-sentence report said he thought I was mildly depressed. All the money was paid back, by the way. I've done some bizarre things. I told somebody I was going to be in EastEnders. I told them the day, the time, the hour, everything. This is bizarre, not because it's a pointless lie, but because I'm a good actor. I hate EastEnders. Oh, bear me witness, night. Be witness to me, O thou blessed moon, when men revolted shall upon record bear hateful memory. For Enobarbus did before thy face repent. O sovereign mistress of true melancholy, the poisonous damp of night dispunge upon me, that life, a very rebel to my will, may hang no longer on me. Throw my heart against the flint and hardness of my thought, which, being dried with grief, shall break to powder and finish all foul thoughts. O life, nobler than my revolt, is infamous. Forgive me in thine own particular, but let the world rank me in register, a master leaver and a fugitive. This speech from Antony and Cleopatra, with a desperate Enobarbus speaking his final words before suicide, goes some way to describing my feelings at the moment of my suicide attempts. More importantly, it also describes the despair that my family felt. Enobarbus says he is a master leaver, just as I was when I left my family wondering on numerous occasions whether I was alive or dead, or if I would be found. As my wife has said since, when you disappeared saying you were going to kill yourself, the police picked me up at my office at Blackfriars and took me to Streatham Police Station, where they explained everything. They then took my wife home, where she found a policeman taking my stuff, my razors, my toothbrush, for DNA, for the identification in case I was already a corpse. She won't recover from that. With all the treatment and the medication and the recovery, it will always be in the back of her mind that it could happen again at any time. When she puts the key in the door while I'm away working, any time. You see, that's how far the illness spreads. That's the damage that it does. I've only just started thinking about that because I've been so wrapped up in my own illness. But I'm getting ahead of myself. During my life of inexplicably extreme mood swings and failed suicide attempts were great acting parts. A loving family who kept my sometimes disappearing for days without a word very much within the family. Suicide attempts which ended with a stomach pump or pathetic attempts at slashing wrists were a family matter, as the doctor of the time put it. If you don't count my drama school training, this is my 30th year as an actor. I have had small-scale success, ran my own company, played to an audience of 1,000, and on a rainy night at the Etc. Theatre in Camden, performed a one-man play to an audience of 1. I have been without acting work, which time I have been a scaffolder, a bouncer, a bin man, an off-licence worker, a warehouseman, a reprographics worker, operative, drama teacher, God, newsagent, off-licence worker, warehouseman again, and a racing tipster for the now defunct Today newspaper. All of which brings me to why I'm here today. Or perhaps I should say, why I'm still here today. In April 2008, I was involved in producing and running and acting in a production that was in trouble due to funding that had collapsed, and I pretended that it hadn't and tried to carry on. I then, in a terrible low, decided that I would kill myself. I sent a text to a friend who was involved in the production saying that it wasn't going to happen and that I was off to kill myself. I then put a length of rope in my bag, threw the battery of my mobile into the bin and on the way to the station, and then I set off for Littlehampton. Why Littlehampton, I hear you cry? Well, I don't know. I've never been there. I've never toured there. Maybe I was conceived there and my mum and dad didn't tell me about it, so it was a subconscious thing. I don't know. Anyway, I knew there was water there, and if I couldn't hang myself, I'd be able to drown myself. In the evening of that day, I rang my father to say goodbye, and having thought of him and my wife, I couldn't do it. I spoke to him, and the police had already been in touch with him, and he told me where I was, having worked out where the phone call was coming from. Having missed my last train home, I was walking towards the beach, feeling very sorry for myself, when I was picked up by the police, who were brilliant with me. Plug for the police for a change. They let me sit in a vacant interview room all night drinking tea and chatting until they put me in a cell, just to get some sleep. They could have done it straight away for my own safety, but what they realised was that I needed people. They did everything they could, apart from, of course, tuck me in and kiss me goodnight. The following morning, it was decided by a trio of professionals that I didn't need to be sanctioned. I was suffering from depression and was driven home by the police with an appointment to see a member of the South West Sector Community Mental Health Team at 380 Streatham High Road. The member of that health team turned out to be Davina Blunt. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, and to die, sleep no more, and by asleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to, is a consummation devoutly to be wished. Die. Sleep. Sleep. A chance to dream. Aye. There's the rub. For in that sleep of death, our dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil. Must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity so long life. This speech from Hamlet: to be here or not to be here, to do or not do, to kill himself or participate in the rest of life, however good or bad that may be, whatever demons he may have to face or fight off. That's why I'm here. I want to face and fight my demons. I don't want the Raymond Chandler big sleep just yet. But I can't fight my demons without help, which brings me nicely to Davina Blunt, who I saw regularly at the beginning of my diagnosis. She has 4 of the main abilities that the 3 people I have had help from all possess. 1, they listen. And boy, do they have to listen. 2, they never patronise. 3, they offer help without suggesting that is the ultimate answer. 4, and this is the most important one, they don't bullshit you. Actors have a bullshit radar. It's probably because we spend most of our time talking it. The other two who have helped me immensely are Dr. Jerome Carson and Dr. S. McGann, psychiatrist, who is sadly no longer with us. But more of them later. At first, when talking to Davina Blunt about dealing with depression, it became clear that in finding out more about me and talking to people who knew me, that this might be more than just depression. The changes in mood and things that I had done and said that I don't remember doing led her to suggest a consultation with Dr. McGann, who, after analysing mood diaries and interviewing me, diagnosed bipolar disorder. Whilst upsetting, this was no great shock. Yes, I had seen the Stephen Fry programme on the subject, and it all seemed to fall nicely into place. I think it was actually a relief to be diagnosed. A lot of people feel that way. It's good to find a reason behind your behaviour. Bipolar can actually work in your favour. For instance, if I see an attractive woman walking down the street and my wife catches me looking at her, I can now claim this as a bipolar moment. Davina Blunt has helped me realise that by identifying my illness, it could help me battle it. And for that, I shall always be in her debt. She has thought through all my problems with me and helped and advised when she could. Knowing that I'm going to have highs and lows, and noticing when they are due to start, makes them easier to cope with somehow. It doesn't stop them, it just makes them easier. That and the lithium, of course. Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks! Rage blow, you cataracts and hurricanes, till you have drenched our steeples, drowned the cocks, you sulphurous and thought-executing fires, vaunt couriers to oak-cleaving thunderbolts, singe my white head, and thou, all-shaking thunder, smite flat the thick rotundity of the world, crack nature's moulds, all Germans spill at once, that make ingrateful man. Rumble thy bellyful, spit, fire, spout, rain, nor rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax you not, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Why then, let fall your horrible pleasure. This speech from King Lear, with the king howling at the elements to do their worst, is relevant in many ways, but I'll give you just two today. Firstly, this is now my attitude towards bipolar. Bring it on. I'll fight you. No matter what happens, I will fight you. Now I know what you are, and I know that I have people in my corner. I'll fight you. The second is that I have named my mood swings after King Lear's daughters. My highs are Regan and my lows are Goneril, and my in-betweens are the young, sweet Cordelia. They are named this way because in the production that I saw, Diana Rigg was a Regan, i.e. my highs, and I think of her in the catsuit in Avengers. Anyway, Dorothy Tooting was Goneril, still attractive but miserable and vicious. I can't remember who Cordelia was, but it's such an awful part. But she was sweet and pretty and always wanted to do the right thing. Which brings me nicely to Dr. Jerome Carson and the Southwest Recovery Group. Jerome Carson has helped me in many ways. He has trusted me, involved me, supported me, educated me, inspired me, and helped me cope. He has made me realise that I still have a career, so much so that I've been working non-stop since I was diagnosed. He is what is called in the trade as a diamond, and he didn't pay me to write any of this. He has more energy than anyone I've ever met. The recovery group that he led was never boring. The first meeting of the recovery group that I attended was, "Can art uplift you?" Well, let me tell you, it can. The talk was given by Mary Therese and showed artwork that I have seen and artwork that I haven't. She was wonderful, a professional lecturer, but I have seen bad ones. She was so eloquent and charming, with such a passion for the subject that you couldn't help but be engulfed by it. It was at the end of this meeting that Jerome asked me if I had anything in mind that I would like to do. I said I had a one-man play called St. Nicholas that I had done years ago, and I would be happy to give it a go. St. Nicholas is an hour and a half monologue. So, picture the scene. Jerome is making tea and coffee for the group. The actor is about to perform an hour and a half monologue about a drunken Irish theatre critic who has a breakdown and meets vampires. And the actor is on lithium. Jerome is as cool as a cucumber. No thoughts of what happens if he can't do it. What happens if he forgets the lines completely? What happens if he runs off? Will the group be able to sit and listen to this for that long? Will it be good enough? What if he's awful? Can Jerome Carson tap dance for an hour and a half? To set the scene for a short excerpt from St. Nicholas, the play Jerome and I toured together for Guy's and St. Thomas's charity. You'll know when I've started because I will effortlessly slip into an Irish accent. St. Nicholas is about a drunken Irish theatre critic who goes to see a production of Salome and falls in love with the actress playing her. He meets the actors in the pub after the show and tells them that he's given them a great review. He hasn't and has to leave Dublin. He goes to London, where in his drunken stupor he meets a vampire called William in Crystal Palace Park. William tells him that he can come and live with him and his 6 female vampires if the theatre critic will bring back young people for a party every night. It was a girl that got me into trouble. Not intentionally, it was my fault. She was an up-and-coming actress. I was reviewing a production of Salome at the Abbey, and when she danced, fuck me. I mean, the shadows crept about the muscles of her legs, her eyes, even her fingers had such... She was just one more fucking thing beyond my reach. But I had underestimated my reviewing capacity. One of my very few moments of modesty back in those days. It was after the show in the flowing tide. I'd phoned the review in from the car. I'd written it on the back of the programme during the show and then phoned it in. It was the way I always did it. It was the best of everything. I could stand there with the cast and ruin their evening and get paid for it. I was feeling generous that night. I gave them a mixed review. I got into the pub at about 20 past. I ordered 2 pints and 2 double jeffers. Now I could relax. I knew the director Peter Hamilton from a few years ago when I'd been speaking at a symposium on Irish theatre. He was a prick. The cast were in one corner. I saw the actress who played Salome. Her name was Helen. I saw her glance over. Hamilton said he was surprised to see me there. Why, I said. I had no time for him. Plenty of time to make that clear, if you know what I mean. Well, you're not reviewing us tonight, he said. Awful high-pitched voice. I told him the review had already gone in, and if he wanted pop across to the paper, he could probably get tomorrow's edition. Ah, no rush, he said. But I could see him getting a little bit restless. He had no cop. I knew he was going to give in and ask me, and he did. If it's already gone in, he said, you might as well tell me what you thought. And he gave a little laugh and took a big gulp of his pint. What I thought, I said. Yes. Oh, well. I was pretending I'd given it so much consideration it was hard to sum up now. Yes, I said, well, I think it's one of the best shows I've seen in years, and anybody who knows what's what would be a fool to miss it. Well, Hamilton could hardly contain himself. He made a bit of an effort to make a chit-chat with me, but as soon as he got the chance, he shot off to tell the others. And that's how the party got going. A kind of euphoria spread quite quickly, and even the barman didn't seem to want to stop serving. Drinks were placed in front of me. I got chatting to the cast. I even began to believe my own hype. I began to believe that I had given them a good review. I was walking around congratulating everybody. My life has been changed, I told them. They hugged me, and I wept. Why I wept, I don't know, just an accumulation of drink and aggravated loving, I suppose. But it worked. They all thought I was great. I was different from other critics who didn't know what they were talking about. I had a passionate belief in the theatre and what makes it good. And then we were out into the street and I was tired. They wanted to go on somewhere, but I knew that I was finished. Besides, it was only a matter of time before somebody read the review and found out what a lying bastard I was. So I leaned against the car and bid them good night. And off they went. And then, a cool hand. Helen. I think think I'll go home as well, she said. I asked her where she lived. Donnybrook. It was on my way. The next thing I know, she was sitting beside me, and we were driving through the empty streets, that way. And I couldn't help taking a sneaky look at her legs. I badly wanted to tell her the truth, but I couldn't. This was my moment, and I may never be that close to her again. When we'd stop at the lights, I'd be giving her the friendly, smiling at her. Milton and Chaucer in the back of the car having a great fucking time. And this was just a lift home. Let's not get excited. Dropped her off in Pembroke Park. As she got out of the car, she kissed me on the cheek, and I was the lowest thing. Good luck tomorrow night, I said. She told me to sleep well. I couldn't sleep. I sat in my study with the windows open. That summer breeze. And I thought about killing myself. I could imagine the cast saying what a complete bastard I was, and then they'd find out that I was dead, and they'd feel rotten that they hadn't taken into account, my integrity, the mystery that I was. But I was too chicken for that, so I lay on the sofa and things crawled all over me till it got right. But I wasn't the same after that. The summer, all our prospects, that bright, youthful, I'd be hacking away reviewing books and what have you, and all of a sudden I'd start thinking about her. And I'd be all fucking hell happy, but that tinge as well. It wasn't a sexual thing. If she were to give herself to me, that would be it. My fat, botchy skin wasn't the point. I don't think I even wanted that. I knew that when we were married, I'd be happy enough just to watch her tend our beautiful children. Yeah. Well, the show didn't get any good reviews as it turned out, but the news was it was doing 2 weeks in London, knocked down for an intended 4. I went back in disguise to the Abbey the night it closed. Broke my fucking heart to watch it. I'll tell you why. It was this. It was in her eyes. You could see the way changing then. With you and me, it's all this. We get older. We try to hide our excess. We try to compensate for it with our taste or our sense of humour or our mind. But what if you woke up one morning and you were the perfect specimen you always wanted to be? Wouldn't that make you happy? Of course it would. Go a long way in any case, because now your smile, ding, would beam confidence. Your stride would never need to conceal the way that you were built. And we could all go around just being very nice to one another. This is all getting very Nancy now, but Helen had that, you see, because she was never busy being conscious of herself. Because everybody else was busy being conscious of it, you see. You probably don't, but when she smiled at you, you knew that you were blessed. Here was this person doing and being what they wanted. Nothing more, nothing less. And to be the thing that she wanted, well, then you'd stop performing like a fucking monkey, wouldn't you? And you could see all that, the assured grace of her arms and the way that they move. And to be in those arms. This is what Jerome Carson did for me. He trusted me. And with that trust, he gave me empowerment. Empowerment to deal with things. He invited Yvonne Farquharson from the Guys and St Thomas's Charity to come and see something, meaning that there was a tour of the play at loads of different venues, including hospitals and theatres. And there'll be more too. So thank you for her support. Like all actors, I had to get a plug in, right? I look at all the other service users in the group that I was part of, and along with myself, we have a say. We matter. I've learned so much from talking to them and things that they did, like Liz, who did her poetry for the soul session, that meant so much to her and to other people, me included. John, Richard, Esther, Sarah, Gordon, Jude, Joanna, Tracy, Dolly, Margaret are all people who matter. People who've been empowered by that group in one way or another, by learning that you're not on your own and other people do feel the way that you feel. So I'll always be grateful to the staff at Stretton, and in particular those that I've mentioned who have literally changed my life. And I'll be grateful to the group for all that they've shown me in the recovery sessions, and I really believe now that my recovery won't always be a work in progress.